Right, more people are joining, I think. Yes. Hi, Zen. And Zen, we have just started up our class, and you can get access to the chat. You can give a quick hello inside the chat, right? Write a quick hello in the chat, and we can start with the session. So let me share my screen. Once it is visible, drop a message in chat. So all your communication will be through the chat, unless you have a quick question, and I'll let you unmute your microphone. Okay. So here we start up our first session of Java programming, right? So now I would like to give a quick introduction about myself. I am Jaswinder. I'll be your trainer, and this whole course would be like entirely free. Now there can be a lot of questions in your mind why I am giving a free course, and how will I afford it. So just to let you know, I am a full-time web developer and I'm a part-time trainer. So I had experience of like 12, 13 years of Java trainings, PHP, Laravel. So I have been working as a web developer in the backend development, API development since like 2014. So, looking into the current scenario, a lot of people are there who cannot afford up like one-to-one trainings due to the current scenarios of like COVID situation. So I planned up like few batches. Earlier also, I made one batch for free in like month of April. So there we conducted the core Java training, just gave some crash course kind of thing for Java. So similarly, this is like another batch we have formed. So I'm not a company; I'm a individual trainer, freelancer, you can say. So this course will be containing up the core Java, which will give you the knowledge of Java programming. You would be able to make your programs, and you will be writing up the programs up till the desktop application. So you can connect with the database, you can make the frames, you can make micro projects. So after learning this course, after going through this course, you would be able to step into the mobile app development using Android, or you can go into the web development using Spring, Hibernate, J2E, right? So you would be having the exposure of Java programming. In short, you will be having the exposure of Java programming entirely. So to start further, like today, this will be our introduction session. So introduction would be of about Java. I have introduced myself. I am Jaswinder Singh, and I'll be your trainer for this whole course. So now programming in Java, our language would be Java. We are going to communicate in English. I got some message from like students that can it be in Hindi and bilingual. So because students across the globe, around the globe are joining. So probably this whole session would be in English only, right? And I will also upload the recording of this session after a few hours into our Telegram channel, but it would be a YouTube link, right? So these sessions would be uploaded on YouTube. You will get the link and you can watch the session after the class once again to revise up the concepts. You can see screen my screen, and there are certain slides, so don't bother like worry about it. Is this going to be a theoretical session? So no, it is not going to be a theoretical session. Will be very much like 100% practical. I will make the programs practically on my screens. You guys would be seeing live that what are the errors we can face while making up the programs, how to correct it, what are the concepts, right? So this course would be for people who are entirely new to Java programming, right? If they have some experience with like some other programs, that is good programming language. But if you are already you have studied up core Java programming, so I won't suggest you to attend this course because there won't be nothing new for you. You may have already done these topics, right? So if you want to go for something else like Spring, Hibernate, or Advanced Java, so maybe we can plan up another batch later, right? But this is only for new students of Java, right? I hope you all are new student of Java. Jocelyn, John, Osama, Rajiv. So just give me a quick yes or no. I hope you all are new student in Java. You can drop a message yes or no in chat. Yes, John says that yes, he's new to Java. Good. So I hope similarly Rajiv. Great, great. So Osama and Rajiv, I expect a quick message from you guys as well. Right. So this is the chat window. You guys are responding over here. So give me a quick yes or no, Rajiv. Great, great. Okay, then we can start, right? We can start. And I expect you would be taking a lot of things from this today's session as well as the upcoming sessions, right? So now let's start with the programming in Java. What is Java? We need to have some introduction. Now, introductions can vary from person to person. Now, someone likes introduction, someone doesn't, because they think that there is a lot of theory, but it is not exactly theory. We'll be having a practical session today where we will also write our Java program, right? So quick, small, 5 to 10 minutes of introduction to Java. What is Java? And in interviews, you will find these questions very much. Java as a programming platform, right? Everyone says that I'm going to learn Java programming. So when someone asks, what is Java, right? Give me a one word answer. So when you have to give a one word answer, you may not be able to, because Java is not a language. I have seen many students who normally come and say that Java is a language, which it is not. Java is not a language, right? Now, when I say Java is not a language, what are the other technologies which have the language? What are the other technologies which are as a language? So here, if you have ever heard about C hash, right? If you have heard about C hash is a language, right? C++ is a language. But Java is not just a language. Java is also a language, but Java is also a complete development platform, right? It's a complete development platform. So for developing up the Java applications, you don't have to rely on some other libraries. For example, if you want to create up a frame, right, where you can write up the graphical user interface kind of applications, you want to build a menu bar, you want to build a notepad, complete notepad in Java. So you don't have to look for third-party libraries, right? So Java gives you a complete platform. So if you want to bundle this whole and deploy it to the client, you want to give it to the client. So client, for giving it to the client also, you don't need any third-party libraries. You can get all this stuff inside the Java itself, right? So Java gives you a complete 100% solution for the development, right? People can argue on this. People can say, okay, then if Java is giving everything, why we require Spring or Hibernate or new frameworks? The reason is because that the time trends change. We need some rapid development, right? So for rapid development, you need something pre-built. So there comes a Spring, Hibernate things, right? So Java is an execution environment that provides services such as security. Now, everyone in this world bother about security, right? So Java is very secure. We all have studied it right from like day one of Java. Portability, that it's like moreover, you can work across the operating system. It's independent of the operating system. You don't have to bother about like Linux or Windows, that okay, I have a Windows system. If I code, will my program run on Linux? Yes, it will be. So if you code on Linux operating system, your program is going to run on the Windows operating system also. And the best thing about Java is it is having a garbage collection, right? So unlike C++, you don't have to bother about the memory management. You don't have to go and write up a lot of like take care of the objects, right? That you allot the memory and then you release the memory. So programming is all about how you are going to manage the memory. If you manage it efficiently, you can store a lot of data in the memory, right? And the more data is stored in memory, that means more quicker solutions. There are certain buzzwords, keywords of Java, right? So let's quickly see these words. We are not going to explain all the words, right? These are certain words you may have heard. If you have just tried doing some R&D about Java, you may have heard these words, right? Explaining every of these word will take around like an hour, right? We are not going to go for a boring theoretical session. We will understand these all 11 buzzwords one by one practically, right? So these, you can understand that these are going to be like our modules, 11 modules in our Java programming. So let's quickly have a quick view of these buzzwords. Simple. Java programming is very simple. Simple means it's not easy, right? We should not consider simple means easy, right? Simple means that its syntax is simple. very simple as if someone has done a little bit of C++, he can quickly understand the Java part, right? Object oriented, so it's more a object oriented language. Distributed, you can make the distributed application robust and secure. Architectural neutral. Robust and secure means like it is very stable, and it do not give a chance to like get into the host environment, right? Then we have the secure architecture neutral. It is you don't require up like special machines to run your Java program. If you develop on Windows, you can run on Linux. If you develop on, let's say, Intel processors, you can also run it on the AMD processors also, right? So it is architectural neutral. Then it is portable. Interpreted. Interpreted means once compiled, you can read it every time. High performance, multi-threaded, you can do multiple tasks in this. This was a big work in Java, right? So while writing a multi-threaded application in C++ or other language like PHP till today is not supporting multi-threading, right? But Java, from the day one, it is supporting multi-threads, right? Dynamic, it is. We'll read more about this dynamic thing in upcoming sessions. One thing that comes to the mind whenever we talk about Java is Java applets. Right, Java applet is a program which will run in your web page, right? If I go back to 90s, like you guys may have not more read about like internet in 90s. Web was booming, like uh, coming upwards in 90s, right? 1990s to 2000. So www was more uprising. So it was like the way you see the websites today were not so good, right? The websites were not so good. They were just a medium of spreading the message, right? So they used to have a header, footer, and some middle like container which used to give some information. But then people like thought of how can we get some dynamic message. Now you today you have Facebook, you have like messengers, but at that time they there were no like such Facebook and social network, etc. It was only a individual can have its own website, and companies can have their own websites, which were quite expensive at that time, and they were not dynamic. So then Java came as a solution where they said that, okay, our Java programs can run in the web page in the form of applet, right? But there was a condition that when user runs that page, the Java program will download to his system, right? And it will use his own machine to run it. So all the memory was of client. Client means the user who is downloading up that web page, right? So who's downloading up that, like for example, if you see in this image, someone has opened up some link and it is downloading a graphical image, right? But this is not an image. It is more like a program where you are going to increase the amount of like the elements, right? And then at the side, it would be presenting the structure of the amino acids. So this thing was dynamic in nature. User can interact and change the values, right? So it was a boom to the www that, okay, we got something, a solution, easy solution for dynamic websites. Else they were using up C++, CGI, Linux things, right? So which was not that effective in the performance. But with applets, they were going to be very effective because users know that, okay, I can get a complete uh, dynamic nature of programs in my web page also, right everyone? So you can give me a quick yes or no, wherever you think you understood that concept, and if it is a no, I'll explain it once again. Give me a quick yes or no in chat. Keep it interactive, like yes, no, we are understanding up. Right, a simple a letter Y and letter N can be very good. Instead of typing the whole yes or no, you can just write a yes or no. Yes, great. Okay, so we have two slides on the history of Java. Though history of Java can be very long, but we are not going to read all the things. I would be sharing up a document on like how the first version of Java released, right? It is very interesting. One who wants to go into the Java, he can read that story. You will have an emotional attachment with Java, right? So Sun released up its first version of Java in early 1996. But to be very true, when the first version was released, before that version releasing, even there were like a time when people were not ready to accept this language, right? It was a green project, later named as Oak, then it came to name as Java, and it got on first release. And with the first release, it was not very stable. There were a lot of like issues. It was actually a no use of Java, right? If I look at the 1.0, there was no use of Java, right? You cannot find it like where to plug this. Is there any use of this? So the answer was no. Even it was not able to like print up some good application. It was only for writing up few applets. That's all. Then 1.1, it brought up some, you can say enhancements, and it brought some new features, right? And then 1.2 was a major boom. So we have a conference like which is called as Java 1 conference. So there they released up 1.2, and after the releasing of 1.2, the whole picture changed. The company Sun Microsystem, right, its marketing department, they changed the Java 2 standard edition software development kit as a new name, right? They brought up a new name, Java 2. So from like 1998 till today, you would be finding up this Java 2 on a lot of books. Java 2, complete reference Java 2. So they wrote this name, and it was now more popular than ever. So this version is started naming as 1.2, right? So versioning is very important. You will see there's like 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, but this trend is not followed now. Many people get confused that now we are working in Java 14, right? When did this Java 14 came? Is it 1.4 or 14, right? So this 1.1, 1.2, so when they started writing Java 2, it was Java 2.0. It became Java 2.0. From 1.2, they started naming it as 2.0, right? So Java 2 standard edition software. And later the versions 1.3 and 1.4 also released, but there were nothing much changes in the language, right? And then version 5.0 was the release after like 1.1, which brought the major updates in Java. And it was like bringing up for each loops was a major thing, right? And a lot of like enhancements in inheritance interfaces, things came released in version 5.0. Version 5.0 came somewhere around, I think, in 1998 or maybe in 2000. And version 6 was released at the end of 2006. And in 2014, release of Java 8. So this Java 8 was like a very popular release, and it had a functional style of programming. We will see this functional style of programming in our course. So after Java 8, around when Java 8 was released, Oracle acquired up Sun Microsystem, right? This is some good story to be known. So Oracle acquired Sun Microsystem, and for a longer period, this 8th version was only kept, and no more releases were brought up, right? So there were some news that Java would be now dead, no more updates. But now Oracle has taken up this whole development process, and they are bringing new features. And Java 8 is now released like 9, 10 version, 11, 12. Now we have a Java 14 version, right? But this Java 8 is very standard. A lot of projects in industry are still running on Java 8, right? Very stable. And 9 and 10, you won't be able to find download into 9 and 10, right? So if we quickly look over here, so see the years 96, 97, the journey started from 96, right? Until 2017, we had so much of the changes, like 9 version. I have not written about 13, 14, and 15. So these are like releases of the Java, right? One can say, why do I need to know about the Java releases? The point is that if you're working in a technology, you should know how it was developed, right? And what was its journey, and like who is the current company which is like taking care of its new features. So it is Oracle, right? Oracle.com, Oracle company, which is like giving you the Oracle database. It has a lot of products now in under their belt. So it is like they have acquired a MySQL project, they have acquired a Java project. So they have their own products like Oracle database. Now they are into the cloud business also. They are giving the cloud hostings. So now how to install Java Development Kit, right? I'll not install it right now because I already have it on my system. I will share a document and a video with you guys in our Telegram channel where you will see how to download and install it on Linux as well as on our Windows system, right? So the steps to download and install is that you have to go to oracle.com. Now, there are a lot of people, they do not know like where is Oracle and how to download it. So they start going to our Java world and they start trying JDK download. This is also a good thing. There is no harm in this. There is no like problem over here. You can download it this way also, good way. And suppose if someone is very genius and he wants to know like where actually the Oracle links are, so it's good that you should explore few things more rather than just coming to Google and downloading up these things. So you can write oracle.com, right? Go to the Oracle page. So Oracle page is, you can see it has a lot of more options. You can explore this in some time. So go to the products, right? And here you can see the software Java. And just give me 1 minute, guys. I'll go to the mute and I'll be coming back in a minute. Okay, so here you can see the software Java, and if you click on this Java, it will open up your Java page where you can see a lot of information about Java. Right? They talk about more like what they are doing. So we don't want to bother about this, but we want to download the Java. Right? So here, if you download this Java, remember there is word coming JDK. Right? JDK means Java Development Kit, right? Java Development Kit. We have, as a developer, we want to install JDK, right? As a developer, we have to install JDK, and as a client, right? If someone is a user who only wants to run the web applications or applications, so they have to install the JRE only, right? So the two different applications or the softwares are Java Runtime Environment, and this is Java Development Kit, right? Java Development Kit. So Java Development Kit, as the name tells, for the development, right? You need to have it for the development. It will contain all the libraries, classes, which are going to help you in development process, right? And GRE is only for running your application. So as a programmer, as a developer, you require both of these things, right? But once you complete up your development, you don't need to install JDK for the client. You only need for the JRE, right? Anyone who wants to run a Java application requires a JRE at the runtime environment only. So currently you can see Java SE 15. So you can install version 8, you can install version 14, you can install version 15. No problem in that. If you already have a version 8, not required to upgrade right now. It's good. You can follow that also, because our Java programming would be the standard Java programming. First, we'll learn the Java programming. Then later on, we will see what are the new things that we got in like version 11 or version 14 or version 15, right? Our motive is to learn Java programming now, so that the best stable version is 8, 11, 14, and 15, right? So let's go back to our slide. I'll clear up my screen. So here we were talking about that we can download it, right? So you can click on this JDK download, and it will ask you to select up a license, and it will show you a lot of versions. So based on your OS operating system, if it is a Linux, you can download the Linux package. Now Linux has a lot of versions, right? Red Hat Linux, Ubuntu Linux, right? CentOS. So if you are on a Red Hat, you may require a RPM package. If you are on some AMD processor, I think, then you would require up the 64 RPM package. And if you are on Ubuntu, like I am on the Ubuntu OS, Linux Ubuntu, so I would be using a Debian package. So I downloaded this one. And if you are on Windows, right, Windows require this 64-bit installer. Okay, this is the installer and this is the zip. I would prefer going for the installer. So this will install on your system without any like tough steps and all. So no configuration is required. Now, second thing, when you are going to click this download, remember it's going to ask you to log in, right? It's going to ask you to log in. So if I select this, download it, maybe it's going to download if I'm already logged in. I'm not sure. Let's check this, whether I'm logged in or not. Okay, we are not logged in, right? So it will ask you to log in and then download. Without login, you cannot download this. So you have to make an account on this. Yeah, I'm logged in, I think, yes. So now they would ask you to log in, right? So you can go and sign up on this. For example, if I just sign out, so you have to create an account, right? You have to create an account for this. Don't create a cloud account. You need to create a Oracle account. So create your account. It would be asking a few information, some information like your email ID, password, country, your job, etc. So if you are not doing up any jobs, you are just a student, write a student. It is not going to verify anything. Work phone, write your own phone numbers, right? So all those things you can specify over here, create your account, use it to log in, and then just download that version, right? I'll share a document as well as a video on this, how to install. Okay. So after the installation, we need to set the environment path, right? What is this environment path? See, whenever you install Java, Java doesn't make any changes in your system, right? Unlike like .NET, .NET goes and updates up a lot of registry settings, etc. But Java doesn't updates up the registry settings, right? So whenever you install up the Java, I'll use the terminal. So whenever you install the Java, to check whether Java has installed or not, you can write a command Java C, right? This is not called as Java. I have seen people calling it as like Java or Javas. So call it as Java C. It stands for Java compiler. If you write Java C, and you can see so many number of the options being displayed over here, that means Java compiler is installed on your system, right? And you can use it. So this will be installed only when you are going to install the JDK, right? And the environment path would be set. So how to install the JDK, environment path, what are the steps? All these things would be shared. You don't have to bother about like, sir is not showing up like how to install JDK, because it will take some time to download and then run up all the steps. It will spend more time, right? Rather than spending more time on that, we can learn quickly, start the Java. And this thing I'll share with you as a simple steps, that you can download the JDK from here, run the installer, set the path like this, right? And then you can start compiling up your programs. Very simple steps. You don't have to worry about this, right? So now with this, we got our understanding of Java introduction basic, right? And we saw that how, from where I can download the Java. Once you download it, if all of you are on Windows, anyone is on Linux, or everyone is on Windows, just give me a quick confirmation. How many of you are on Windows? Okay, great. All right, John is also on Windows. How about Rajiv and Navid? Great, great. Right. So I'll prepare up a video on how to set up your JDK on Windows. I'll separately give you that video. I'll put it in Telegram channel. So it will save a lot of time. Let's write up a quick, our first program on Java, right? So now if you look at this next slide, this is a very small program saying a hello world. So we don't have to bother about what is class, static, void, main, etc. right now. Let's see a quick program. You need to understand how to make a program and how to run it, right? First thing you will run is how to, you will learn how to run your program, right? How to write our program, we'll understand, but how to run it, that is more important first of all. So what are the things you require when you want to write a program? The first thing you require is a notepad, right? So you can use the notepad, which is already in the Windows. Okay, that will work. But if you guys want, you can use up a better text editor, which is Sublime, right? You can use a better text editor, which is Sublime or Atom. So there are a lot of free text editors. So Sublime is also free. You can go to Google, write Sublime, download. Very simple. Download your Sublime text editor, right? It's entirely free. You can download it based on your OS version. You can download the particular version, right? So here, this gives, yes. You can execute your Java codes on Notepad++ also. Notepad initially, if I will tell you that initially we worked a lot on Notepad++, because at that time the Sublime or Atom were not in very much like existence, right? They were not yet released. So we worked on Notepad++ a lot. Even I worked on Notepad, the core Notepad of your Windows, right? Which didn't give us any feature. So yes, we can work on IDEs, that is like NetBeans and Eclipse. That is what my next slide going to tell you, that where can you make these programs. So how to make your program, you have to write up a file and then you can just compile your code and run it. But if you see my previous slide, you can see I have written use IDE like Eclipse, NetBeans, sorry, not Java, it should be IntelliJ IDEA, right? So we can use this IntelliJ IDEA also. A lot of IDs are there. Even I would like suggest you that you should have hands-on on like more than one ID, because when you go to a company, it's not necessary that they are going to work on NetBeans. They may be working on Eclipse, or they may be working on IntelliJ IDEA. But sometimes it is like a developer's choice also. They may give you a license for IntelliJ IDEA, but if you are very much professional, like expertise in Eclipse, you can go for that choice also, right? So now talking about the steps, the first thing, we need a text editor, right? Now, why I am not starting from ID? Remember, many of my students, they always talk about like, sir, that we are always starting from text, notepad editors, etc., text editors. Why are we not starting from ID? Because see, text editor will help you in writing up a lot of code and understanding it, right? It doesn't suggest you the code immediately, though Sublime has some options. It will give you some intelligence that, okay, when you are writing up like print, so it writes up a complete print line statement, right? System.out.println line. So Sublime will help you, Atom will help you. They have plugins which can suggest you code. But I prefer that you should not. I'll show you how much of the code we practice on, Notepad. For example, I'll show you my trainings folder. So these are my students. I'll show you some folders over here. Yeah, here you see. Sorry, not this one. Trainings, Java. Yeah. So here you see day by day, like these are the one-to-one classes I take on for my students. So if you see over here, every class, we have a lot of programs, right, that we do on the text pad, right? Once we cover up the core programming, like basic programming, when we are very like proficient with our syntax, we remember up all the keywords, etc., then we switch on to IDE, right? I want you guys to be so proficient that even working on a notepad editor or a tech IDE won't bother you, right? You should be aware of the keywords syntax, right, by heart, and not dependent on like searching, Googling up everything. Okay. Remember, doing Google is good, but if you are just, even if you cannot write a core program, that is not a good like signal. You are going in a wrong direction then, right? You should be aware of everything about the development. The basics should be clear, and then finding up something new solution, yes, you can R&D. If you have to go for integration with some third party libraries, you can Google it out, right? There is no harm in doing Google. But if you just search for the basic syntax, like you have to run a loop and you are trying to look for Google, that is very bad. Okay, right. So let's start writing up a code, right? And I'll show you how to run it first. Then we will start understanding the syntax part. So the first thing comes first, the notepad editor. I'm using up Sublime. You have a choice. You can use Notepad++, Sublime, Visual Studio Code, a very good IDE. We can use Notepad++ also, right? If someone is good at IDE initially, you can go for it. But if you are newbie, I won't suggest it. I will tell you to go for Notepad's first one, right? So here, let's do one thing. We'll create up a folder for our class, our batch, and I'll again go to my trainings folder, and there I will create a new, inside the Java, I'll go for new folder, and let's tell it as batch 10, right? I have given this name as batch 10. Okay, so create. So this folder, I'm going to drag it over here. All the programs will go into this. Let's create up a new folder for today. So 2020, and it's like 10th month of the year, and today's date is 3rd October, right? So 03. So this will be the format of the folders, right? I'll also share these programs with you guys. So let's write up a new file. Okay, so new file. Why I'm creating up all these like structure of like folder and inside another folder? this will keep me a track of like what we have done on the like session wise, right? Second, it is a very structured way. I have seen people writing up the program, saving it some XYZ place, and then when they want to run, they start moving into their documents, because by default, the Java or your Windows, it opens up the terminal in the documents directory, right? My documents. And they start typing out their Java C command or the compiler command in documents, which is wrong. You should save it at a proper place, and you should remember that, okay, I have to go jump into that folder and then compile my program. So here, if you see this batch 10 folder, this is one place. I remember that this is in the Java folder, and this is inside like um, another folder for the day. And in this, I'm going to make my first file, right? So first file, I'll call it as my first program, my first program.java. A good programmer always saves his file first, right? And he starts saving up the file regularly whenever he writes up a code. So don't write up your program first, and then after writing up the last line of the code, you go and save the file, right? If you are on a laptop, obviously, which most of you would be, so that is fine. There are battery backups. But if you are on a desktop and you don't have a battery backup, or your system crashes, anything can happen, right? So best thing is save your program first. So see, I saved my program. Another benefit of this is that when you save your program, these are advanced editors, right? They will identify. If you see towards the right bottom of my screen, it's immediately identifying that I'm going to write a Java code. Can you see this? So it's immediately identifying that I'm going to write a Java code, right? For writing the Java code, the first thing you need is a class. What is a class? We'll see it quickly. Don't worry. So this is my first Java program. We are not going to explain a lot of things right now itself. We will go in the incremental steps, right? So the first thing, I have to write a class. Whenever I have to make a program, I have to write a class, right? Class, my first greeting, right? And it should be starting with a parenthesis, curly brackets, and closing with a curly braces. Don't write your code like this, class, my first greeting. Few bad habits which I have seen in the students, they start writing it like this way, right? They don't end the parenthesis immediately, and they start like class, my first greeting, or they write their parenthesis here. This is very bad. When you want to go for the Java certification, you will see there is a lot of code on your screen and everything is mentioned up like this, and you get confused because you have more practiced it, the parenthesis in the next line, which is not allowed, right? This is not a rule. This is a guideline, right? This is a standard approach. So whenever you write up your program in this way, for looking at your screen, it looks good. But when you go into the development or into the company, a lot of programmers write it this way and you start getting confused, right? Because inside the class, there would be a method. So the readable format, you get the confusion in the readable format because you have practiced it in the next line. So best approach is that from the first day, try to use this approach that, okay, after my class, I should put a space, right? And then put a parenthesis start and parenthesis end. So this way, you will never have a problem of like, oh, I missed up a closing bracket. And then you start searching up like 100 of lines of code. Where have I missed my closing parenthesis? Because if you write up a block, create, open, and close should be done, right? Inside this, you will have an entrance point of your program. And that entrance point is called as a main method. So public static void main. So this is a syntax for main method. You cannot change this, right? You cannot change this. I have seen a student asking the question, what if I change static with the void, right? Will it work or not? It will compile, it will not run, right? What if I skip this string arguments? As I said, this is the syntax of main method. If you make any of the changes, Java won't identify it, right? If you change this main as a main, Java won't identify it as a main method, right? It will identify it as a some method created by user, but it will not identify it as a main method, right? So this is my first program, creating up a class and writing up a main method. For now, memorize this main method, public static void main, string arguments. There is a complete module on reading about static, right? So quickly to understand public, because I wanted everyone to access it. Everyone means that Java can access it, right? and then main string arguments. The string is a type which will allow you to get the runtime parameters. So not immediately we are going to follow the runtime parameters. And whenever you want to give a output, right, output to the screen, system.out.println. So here you are going to print a hello world, right? So this is my program, simple, small, and giving you a one-liner message, hello world, right? System.out.println, hello world. So I have a class, my first greeting, I have a main method, and I have a system.out.println, hello world. Okay, so how to run this program? Now see, I have saved this program and I have see the formatting of this program, how clean it is. I have seen people writing it this way. So it would be something like here, this can be here. Means anything, they try to write anything, right? They don't have any readable format. But if you have a better readable format, because this is only a 4 or 5 lines of code, right? So this is like readable even in this situation. But if it is like hundreds and thousands lines of code, it won't be readable in this format, right? Things are starting, the indentation should be good, right? You should follow the standard approach of opening and closing of the parentheses. These things are very important, right? So try to make a tab. Few programmers follow the tab, few programmers follow the spacing method, so they leave one space, right? I follow the tab method, right? So this is how it would be looking up. I have to update this public also. Yes, so this is what the standard approach says. Right, now I have to run this program. So if you have Java and JDK installed on your machine, you can open up a terminal, right? For Windows, we have the command prompt CMD. So you can open it from your run. You can go to the run and you can type CMD. So which will open up the command prompt, right? So command prompt is again a terminal window like this. You can check whether your command prompt is checking, recognizing Java C. Yes, it is. If you want to see what version is on my machine, Java-version. I have 11 because I have some projects also which are installed on my machine. But don't worry, you can run multiple versions of Java, right? You can run multiple versions of Java on your machine. You have to just set the path on runtime, which you will see in that video. So you can set multiple path, right? I want to switch to Windows 11, sorry, Java 11. So I can set the path at the runtime. I can set the path over here. I'll give issue a command. Set path is equal to percentage path to Java 14. This is not the right syntax. I'm just giving you a logical idea. So this way I can set the path, right? And this path will be remembered only in this current window, right? Current terminal only. Okay. So now we want to compile our program. So where should I run this, right? I have to go in that particular folder, specific folder where I have saved my programs. This is a very important step. I have seen, as I said earlier also, students save the program somewhere, right? Students save the program somewhere and they start coming over here and they start writing up Java C, my first greeting. Guys, how will you get your program here? You have saved it in some other folder. So don't jump into here and start writing up the file and compilation at this point, right? So isn't that funny? Because you have saved it somewhere else, you are trying to compile it over here, it will not work. So remember, if you have saved it at some location which is created by you, you will remember that, right? So CD trainings, Java, batch 10. Okay, let me see where I have kept that batch 10. Yes, CD batch 10, right? So that's our batch 10 folder, and inside this I have kept a folder with today's date. So now if you want to see directory listing, put dir command, it will show you that yes, you have a program. Now issue the command Java C. You are telling Java compiler to compile this file Java C, my first program.java, right? You are asking Java compiler to compile this program. Now what is compilation? Compilation is a process where your code, the source code, would be converted into the machine understandable format, right? But Java has a different concept. We'll come to it. Java has a different concept. Java converts your program into a middle language, right? Java converts your program into a middle language. So what is this middle language? That is called as bytecode, right? So here your source code is compiled. I hope you can see I'm writing on my screen in blue pen. Is it visible to all? Can you see this? I'm writing on my screen. Okay, okay, great. So source code is compiled, right? And source code when compiled gives you a byte code. So this byte code is a middle code, right? This byte code is a middle code. Now, everyone in your college would have studied that, okay, whenever we make a compilation, if I talk about C++, then your source code compiled converts into object code or the binary code, right? So this is what we have studied. But Java has a different concept. Java says that, no, I don't want to be a platform specific, that if I give an executable, I would be more on a Windows kind of system, right? So Java says, no, I won't give you the architecture specific thing. I'll give you independent stuff. Take bytecode, right? Now, your Windows cannot understand bytecode, your Linux cannot understand bytecode, then who is going to understand it, right? So Java says, okay, fine, I'll give you a platform, a new platform, which is the Java runtime environment. Give this Java runtime environment your bytecode, and it will be able to give your output to the hardware and the software. So no problem, whatever your hardware is, right? Whether it is the Intel or it is the AMD, it is Linux or it is Mac or it is Windows, right? So this bytecode will be passed to the Java runtime environment, and Java runtime environment is going to give the output. So this process is called as interpretation, right? So your source code, the one which we have written, right? My first Java program .java. This is the file we created, right? So this code will be converted into the bytecode. So bytecode is a Java virtual machine code, right? We know that 1 and 0 is the binary code. Okay, 1 and 0 is the binary code. So remember this binary code, this Java 1 and 0 binary code is not the bytecode, right? Bytecode is not your binary code. Bytecode is a binary code for your JVM, right? 1 and 0 binary code is for your operating system, your computers, right? So computer cannot understand this bytecode because it is something related to JVM. So you have the JRE, which contains this JVM, and JVM converts your bytecode into the hardware, right? Okay, good with this process. So there are two steps: compile and interpret, right? If someone asks you into the interview that how does your Java program run, so you can explain that your source code is compiled into the bytecode, right? And bytecode is going to be interpreted by JVM JRE and passed the instruction to the hardware. Okay, give a quick yes or no. Is this clear, or any questions on this? John, Naved, Jocelyn, any questions? Yes or no? Guys, you can type only yes. Good. Jocelyn says everything is clear. Good, good. Also, Naved also says everything is good. Great. Okay, then let's compile. What does JRE stands for again? Okay, JRE stands for Java Runtime Environment. Java Runtime Environment, right? I will also explain why do we need Java runtime environment, right? But let's compile our program and then we will understand Java runtime environment. Very interesting thing, how this Java runtime environment works. Okay, so let's compile our program first of all. If I see right now, you have only one file in your folder. I'll open the folder and I'll also show you trainings, Java, batch 10, my today's folder. And if you see, just 1 minute. 1 minute, guys. I'll reshare my screen. Yes. So if you see, there is only one file in your uh, folder, right? Let's go and compile this. Now, if I compile, see, immediately a new file has been created. And if you see the size of your code, the size of your code is 110 bytes, right? The size of your code is 110 bytes, the Java file that you have written. The Java file which is compiled and created, that is known as a dot class file, right? We don't call it as a dot class file, we call it as a class, right? There is a class being created and it's containing of the size 435 bytes. So that means Java has added some more code in this, right? If you try to open it, you won't be able to read anything out of this. Okay. Different editors will open it in a different format. You won't be able to read it. So there is no point of opening it up. And even why you need, because you have your own source code. Okay. So now you have compiled up your source code with the command javac giving the file name .java. Okay. I want to run this program. So I'll give the command Java. Now I am telling that JVM to read this, JRE to read this class, the class which is created. Remember, when I have to run my program, I have to give the name of this class, right? The class which is created. So my first program. Did I made a mistake? Oops, sorry. Okay, can you see the file name and the class name is different? Something new you will see. My first program, my first rating. So we have to give the name of the class here, right? So I have to give the name of the class. So now you can see the output is hello world. See, these kind of things you will find in live class. Sometimes like in a quick hurry when I'm running up my program, I give a typo error, that can be an error, and we can get to know like what all scenarios we can face. So now you see your first program has executed successfully. When you want to compile your program, you have to give the file name, my first program. So if you see, my program has a class which is having a class name different than the file name, right? So it is okay. You can keep a different class name, but there are certain rules. We'll come to the rules and all in later part. They are very elaborated. So class my first greeting and file name is my first program. So when I have to compile this, I have to use the file name. So I'll write javac my first program.java. File name with the extension. And when you have to run this Java, my first greeting, I have to give the class name, the class which is generated after compiling your program, right? So my first greeting, and it prints me a hello world. Let's go and change few things. Let's print it in two lines, two different lines. So system.out.println, you can write as many number of system.out.println, and it is going to print that many number of lines of code. Okay. So this is going to print it as a text. And remember, if you are going to just write hello, this is not going to print it. Instead, Java will take this as an error. It will not be able to understand what is this hello, right? What is this hello? What are you trying to tell over here? Because Java is a language, it has its own steps, right? It has its own syntax. When you want to print something, it's telling you to print it using system.out.println. Okay, and this is the value. You can print different type of values. Right now you are printing a string, group of characters. If you want to print a numeric value, you have to supply the value, numeric value in this. If you want to supply a decimal value, right, 7.8. If you want to print a character, right, a single character in the form of a character only, right? Though you can print up a character like this also, but this is again a string. This is not a character, right? So when I want to print a character, I have to print it in single quotes. So Java supply both type of values, the string and single character, numeric value in the form of like whole numbers and decimal numbers. Okay. It also gives you few more literals. We are calling these as literals, string literal, numeric literal, right? And one more literal is true and false. So these are Boolean literals. So these are the different type of values you can find: string, numbers, right? Characters, Boolean. Okay. So in upcoming sessions, we'll be dealing a lot of with these Boolean and literal string literals and character literals. So right now, my first program is going to print these many number of lines of literals, right? The same value. This is not going to make any change. This is going to display the value as you have provided. Even if you write a wrong, write a short form, it is not going to tell you that no, this is a wrong program spelling. Remember, Java is not going to check your spellings. If you have given it in the form of string, it will print as it is. It is not going to check your grammar. But yes, if you make a mistake here, for example, I write system. Can you see? Your notepad itself has told you that there is an error. It's not recognizing it, right? But anyways, let's compile it. So if I go and compile this, it will give me an error. It will say system does not exist. It's not recognizing it, right? It's not recognizing it, saying system does not exist. So since system does not exist, why? Because I have not written it in the correct format. Java is case sensitive. Okay, Java is case sensitive. So here you make a mistake. Now you go and write capital M, uppercase M. Now this will not give you error at the compilation because that's not a spelling error or a keyword, right? Few things which are predefined like system, class, print line, these are predefined. You cannot change their spellings, right? But here main is not predefined. Main is something you are defining, you are writing up. Okay, but yes, if it is a lowercase main, it will identify it. Okay, this is the main method. I should run it. Java will understand this is the method I have to run. But if you write it like this, your program will compile, but Java won't find the main method which Java is looking for, right? So your program will compile, your method is good. See, there is no error. But when you run your program, my first greeting, so now Java will get confused. Where is your main method? How will I run it? I'm not able to find the main entrance. Got it? So therefore, whenever you write your program, try to follow this syntax. This should be by heart. That, okay, I have to write a class name. Any name will work right now, right? Try a logical name like, for example, my app. So if I write it like my app, the class that would be compiled. So file name in the compilation. Now while running, what name I should give? Give me a quick. While running my program, do I need to give my first program or my app? Let's check over here. What is the new class created? My app, right? So when I have to run my program, what name I should give? Give me a quick syntax. How will I run my program? This is the existing class name, how I was running. So give me a quick respond in the chat. How am I going to run? What class name we will write here? My app, exactly. So we are going to write now my app and see, it gives me the output, right? So ensure Java is case sensitive since you guys would be working on Windows, and at Windows environment is non-case sensitive, right? So whenever you are writing up your program, ensure that you write it in the correct case, right? And your file name, see the class name and the file name. Whenever you are writing up the class name or file name, it should be in the initial caps, right? This is known as Pascal case, right? Where every character, the first character is in the uppercase. So if it is my app, it should be like letter M and letter A should be in the uppercase. Okay. You can play a little bit with this Java programming, try to write some mathematics, simple operations like 78 plus 12, right? And then, so this will help you in remembering up the syntax of system.out.println and public static void main. So I multiply by this. So now if I go and compile it, so it's giving me some output like 90 and 1794. You can see my plus and minus are working good. So our motive of today's session was to have a look on the Java introduction plus writing up our first program. Second thing is that we have given some output, right? And along with that, we can see that there are some literals, which is hello string, numeric. We also saw if I pass two numbers, right, and give a plus minus operator, so it will add those numbers also. Okay. So here, suppose if I go and write system.out.println, right? This is not println. You can call it as print line. Print line. It is a short form for line. So this, if I remove this print line, what is going to happen? Right. So this is not going to break the line. So if you go and compile your program, see, all the output is coming in a new line, right? Every line, like after printing up some output, it's breaking the line. But now it is not going to break the line. See, everything has come in a single line. In the bottom left, I'll just resize it. Here you can see the output difference. So print line and print is going to make a huge difference. Print line is going to end the line after printing it, right? And print will not end the line. So the next output would be in the same line. Okay. So you should be now be aware that, okay, how to make your first program. Second, how to write up the system.out.println statement. Okay. So we'll close it over here because I wanted more people to join it. I'll again pass a message to different groups. And I also want you to drop a message like, how did you like the class, right? Was it good? Was it interesting? Because it was a very short introduction today. We made only one program. A lot of things are going to come, definitely. I have also shared up my website link. You can go on that, like jstrainer.com. There are a few sample videos of Java. You can look like how good quality we are going to make up, right? So as I said, I'm a trainer, right? I'm a paid trainer, and I have a lot of students who take up the complete Java, Spring, Hibernate classes. So don't worry, we will have a lot of material to be covered up in this batch. And yes, so you should be excited for the next session. So don't worry, we are not going to charge anything out of this program, especially for this batch, right? And I would be really feel thankful if you drop a message in the Telegram channel telling about like how was our first session. So it will excite other people also. They can also join our sessions, right? If we are I'm running something in free, I want more and more people to join it so they can get to know like how good it is. Okay, so agenda for tomorrow's session would be, we will be talking about variables, right? Variables, how are variables going to work, right? And we'll also see some conditional statements. So we will play around with variables and the conditional statements, right? So great, we'll close it up over here today a little early because this was very first session, just an introductory session. We wrote our first Java program. So tomorrow again we will connect. Yes, tomorrow again we will connect Indian Standard Time at 9 a.m. right, and till 10:30 a.m. So it would be a 90-minute session tomorrow. It will be full of like variables, conditional statement, a lot of stuff would be there. We'll also see some operators, right? We'll also talk about the operators. So variables and operators will go hand in hand, then conditional statements, right? So thank you guys for joining, and do spread message in our Telegram channel. Share it on your social network. I'll be sharing up the recording link with you guys in the Telegram channel. Do spread it, right? So more and more people can join this free course of Java. Okay. Soon we'll be coming up with Python and Laravel also. And thank you guys. Let's meet tomorrow session. Okay. Bye. Good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.